Eli Carter was tired. His eyes were heavy and his back hurt from the long space ride. He had been traveling for days, moving from one colony to another, selling old tech to new planets. Today, he had landed on Targon 7, a quiet moon colony far from Earth. It wasn't anything special, just rocks, metal buildings, and strange winds. The place smelled like rust and cold air. He checked into a small motel called Starlight Rest. The sign blinked and buzzed like it hadn't been fixed in years. The front desk didn't even have a real person, just a hologram of a smiling lady. "Welcome, guest Eli Carter," the hologram said in a sweet voice. "Enjoy your stay. All services will come to you, including breakfast." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Weird," he said, but shrugged. All he wanted was to sleep and eat. He entered his room. It was small but clean. One bed, one table, and a window that showed the greenish sky of Targon 7. He threw his bag on the floor and sat on the bed with a deep sigh. "Let's order breakfast," he mumbled. There was a glowing button on the wall. It said, "Room service press for breakfast." He pressed it. A robotic voice spoke from the ceiling. "Breakfast unit dispatched. Please wait. Warning. Guest profile incomplete." "What?" Eli frowned. "What do you mean, incomplete?" The voice didn't answer. He waited for a minute, then gave up and lay down. His eyes started to close. Ding. The doorbell rang. "Finally," he said, and walked to the door, expecting a tray of food from a robot. He opened it. And froze. There was no tray. There was no robot. There was a girl. She looked about his age, but not human. Her skin was smooth and shimmered with a light blue color. Her silver white hair fell to her waist. Her eyes, they weren't normal. They were like stars, deep and full of light. She was wearing a simple dress, and in her hands she held a plate with eggs, toast, and juice. "Your breakfast," she said calmly. Eli blinked. Thanks. Who are you?" She looked at him, confused. "I am part of your order." "What?" "I was sent with your meal," she said again. "I am included." Eli stepped back. This had to be some kind of joke. "Wait, are you a robot?" "No," she said. "An alien?" She thought for a second. "I don't know." Eli didn't know what to do. He stared at the girl. She didn't look dangerous. In fact, she looked soft and kind. But her glowing eyes and calm voice made him nervous. He slowly took the plate from her hands. "Okay, thank you. You can go now." She didn't move. "I said, you can leave." "I cannot," she said. "I am assigned to this room." "To you? What does that mean?" Eli asked. "I do not know. I just woke up." Now Eli was really confused. He stepped aside and let her in. She walked in quietly and sat on the edge of the bed. She looked around the room like she was seeing it for the first time. "What's your name?" Eli asked. "I don't have one," she said softly. Eli scratched his head. "Great. First, I come to a broken moon colony. Then I get a mystery girl with my eggs." He sat at the table and took a bite of toast. It tasted fine. Suddenly he heard her gasp. He turned around. The girl had grabbed her arm in pain. Something was glowing on her skin. Words, letters. Eli stepped closer. On her arm, in bright golden letters, it said, "Activate, Phase 1. Before he could say anything, the room lights turned red. A loud alarm started to ring. We. The door locked itself with a loud click. The windows became black. "What the hell is happening?" Eli shouted. The girl looked at him with fear in her eyes for the first time. "I think I'm not just your breakfast," she whispered. The red lights kept flashing. We. Eli's heart was beating fast. He rushed to the door and tried to open it, but it didn't move. It was locked tight. He slammed his fist on it. "Open! Open the damn door!" No answer. He turned back to the strange girl sitting on the bed. Her arm was still glowing. The golden letters on her skin were fading now, like they had been burned into her for just a moment. Activate Phase 1. Then, nothing, the glow was gone. But the fear in her eyes stayed. Eli walked toward her slowly, breathing hard. "Okay," he said, trying to sound calm. "What is happening? What the hell are you?" "I don't know," she whispered. Her voice was soft but scared. "Don't lie to me." "I'm not lying," she said, her hands shaking. "I remember nothing before arriving at your door, just darkness. And then I was told to deliver breakfast. And to stay, told by who?" "I don't know," she said again. Eli stared at her for a long moment. He wanted to believe her. She looked too innocent, too confused. But something wasn't right. He turned to the wall. "Room AI, unlock the door. Emergency exit protocol." Our room responded with a cold, robotic voice. "Emergency lockdown in progress. No exits permitted. Phase 1 initiated. Please remain calm." Eli cursed under his breath. What the hell is Phase 1? No answer. He grabbed his jacket and began looking around the room. There had to be a vent, a panel, some way to get out. He didn't like being trapped, especially not with someone or something he didn't understand. The girl watched him quietly. Her eyes followed every move he made. "You said you don't know who you are," Eli said while opening a drawer. "But you speak perfect English. You're dressed like a model. And you're glowing. That's not normal." She looked down at her hands. "Maybe I'm not normal." Understatement of the year. Suddenly she stood up. "I feel strange." Alile turned around quickly. "What do you mean strange?" She closed her eyes, held her head with both hands. "Like something inside me is trying to wake up." He reached for the chair near the bed, just in case she turned violent. Her eyes opened again. They were brighter. Not just glowing, they were changing. Swirling like galaxies, spinning with light and color. Eli stepped back. "What are you doing?" She looked around the room, confused, like she was seeing it all in new colors. "I can see the energy lines," she said slowly. "The walls, the circuits, everything is connected." "Energy lines? What does that even mean?" She pointed at the wall. "There, the control panel, behind the mirror," Eli blinked. "You can see behind the wall?" She nodded, still unsure. But with no better ideas, Eli ran to the mirror. It looked normal, but he pushed on the edges and the mirror moved. Behind it, there was a small panel with a keypad and a blinking red light. He looked at her. "How did you know that?" "I don't know," she whispered. He stared at the keypad. It needed a code. Eli didn't have one, but then the girl walked up to it, placed her hand on the panel, and it unlocked. Click. The panel opened. Wires, switches, a reset button. "Are you sure you're not a robot?" Eli asked. She shook her head. "I feel alive. I bleed. I breathe. But I also know things I shouldn't." Eli was about to press the reset button, but then a new voice came from the ceiling. It was not the robotic voice from before. This one was cold. "Deep. Watching. Subject number 9 has made contact. Acceleration begins now." Eli froze. What the hell was that? The girl's face went pale. "Subject number 9? He repeated. "Is that you?" "I don't know," she said, backing away. "I don't know anything about this." "Initiating memory layer extraction," the voice said again. Suddenly, the girl screamed. Her hands went to her head again. She fell to the floor. Her body shook. "Stop it," Eli shouted. "Whatever you're doing, stop." He ran to her side, held her, but she kept shaking. Her skin started glowing brighter. The air around her began to heat up. "Stop, she's in pain." The voice spoke again. "Subject awakening. Do not interfere." "I said stop," Eli yelled, punching the wall. Then silence. Her body went still. The lights stopped flashing. The room returned to normal. Eli held her, breathing hard. Hey, are you okay? She opened her eyes slowly. I saw something. What? Memories, not mine. A ship, a war. Fire in the sky, people screaming. Then, darkness. Eli helped her sit up. You remembered all that just now? She nodded. And something else. What? She looked straight into his eyes. I was not sent to bring you breakfast. I was sent to find someone. Eli stepped back. Who? She paused. You. Asterisk. Eli backed away, his heart thudding in his chest. You were sent to find me? He asked. The girl nodded slowly. Her voice was quiet but clear. Yes, I don't know how. But I saw your face in the memories. Eli stared at her. This is insane. You just appeared with breakfast. Now you're saying you were sent for me? Why? I don't know yet, she whispered. But something inside me woke up when I looked at you. Something old, familiar. Eli didn't like this, not one bit. He had come to Targon 7 to get some rest, sell a few gadgets, and move on. That was the plan. He didn't sign up for Alien. Girls, lockdowns, and glowing messages from the ceiling. He paced the room, his mind racing. Okay, let's say you were sent to find me. For what? What do they want from me? The girl stood up. She still looked weak, but something in her had changed. She didn't look confused anymore. She looked awake. I think, she said. You're not who you think you are either. Eli stopped in his tracks. Excuse me. You feel it too, don't you? She said. This place, me, that voice. It's not random. He opened his mouth to argue, but she was right. From the moment she walked in, a strange feeling had been growing inside him, a sense of recognition, of déjà vu. You said you remembered a war, he said. Ships, fire, people screaming, what else? She sat on the edge of the bed and closed her eyes. A name. I heard a name in the chaos. One word. She opened her eyes and looked at him. Carter. Eli froze. That was his last name. His legs felt weak. He sank into the chair across from her. Okay, he whispered. Now I'm scared. She moved closer. Eli. I think we're both part of something bigger, something hidden. He looked at her, still trying to process everything. What's your name? He asked. You still don't remember? She shook her head. But maybe you can give me one. Something simple. He thought for a moment. Nova, he said. She smiled softly. Nova, that feels right. Before he could respond, a loud knock hit the door. Bang. Bang. Eli jumped up. Who's that? No answer. He crept toward the door. But Nova held his arm. Wait. I sense something wrong. Another knock. Louder this time. Eli leaned in toward the door and shouted. Who is it? Silence. Then a robotic voice whispered through the door. Not from the motel's eye. This one was different. Delivery update. Subject number 9 is not alone. Interference detected. Extraction required. Eli's blood turned cold. The door unlocked by itself, the red light above it turning green. Get back. Eli pulled Nova behind the bed and grabbed a heavy lamp. The door opened slowly. No one entered. The hallway outside was dark, empty, silent. Then, a sound, mechanical, claws tapping on the floor. Eli held the lamp tightly, his hands shaking. What is that? Out of the shadows came a figure, tall, thin, and covered in armor. Its face was hidden by a smooth metal mask, sharp arms, red glowing eyes. It scanned the room. Unauthorized lifeform detected, it said. Target, Carter. Nova stood up suddenly, her eyes glowing bright again. I'll run. But Eli didn't move. The armored figure stepped in. Surrender. Subject number 9 will be reclaimed. No, Nova whispered. She stepped in front of Eli. You're not taking him. The figure raised its hand. A weapon grew out of its arm, sharp blue, and humming with energy. Defense mode active, it said. Nova closed her eyes. Then, something incredible happened. The lights in the room flickered, the walls vibrated. And then, from her hands light burst out. A soft blue shield wrapped around her and Eli, blocking the attack. The blast hit the shield and bounced back, slamming into the metal soldier and throwing it out into the hallway. Eli's eyes widened. "You can do that?" Nova looked down at her glowing hands. "I didn't know I could, until now." They heard the sound of more footsteps multiple. Nova turned to Eli. "We have to get out of here." "But the door," she grabbed his hand. "Trust me." Together, they ran into the hallway. The motel had changed. Walls were flickering, doors melting into strange shapes. The place wasn't what it seemed. It was more than just a motel. It was some kind of trap. As they ran, the voice returned in the ceiling. "Containment breach. Carter and subject number 9 are escaping. Engage phase 2. Nova led him through a side door that wasn't there before. "This way," she shouted. They entered a narrow tunnel. Steam hissed from the walls. The air smelled of metal and ozone. "Where are we?" Eli asked. "I don't know," she said. "But we're under the motel, and I think this place was built to keep people like me inside." "People like you? Created weapons, sleeper agents, forgotten projects." She looked at him. "And maybe you were one of them too." Eli's mind was spinning. His whole life, he thought he was just an average guy. But nothing about this was average. Nova stopped at a large steel door. She placed her hand on it. It glowed, and the door opened. Inside was a chamber. In the middle a pod. And inside the pod a second Nova, sleeping. Perfect. Still. Eli stepped back. "What?" The Nova stared at her own copy. "That's me." Eli couldn't move. He stood frozen in front of the pod, staring at the girl inside. She looked exactly like Nova. Same silver hair, same soft glowing skin, same face. Peaceful. Still, like a perfect statue. Eli slowly turned to Nova, who was standing beside him, her expression full of fear and confusion. That's you," he whispered. Nova nodded. "But I don't remember ever being in there." She stepped closer to the glass. Her reflection matched the sleeping figure inside. "She's not moving. But she's alive. I can feel it." Alila's voice shook. "What if you're not the original?" Nova looked at him sharply. "What if I am, and that is just a backup?" A sudden noise behind them made Eli spin around. Metal footsteps, far off but getting closer. "They're coming," Nova said. "We don't have much time." She walked around the pod, searching for answers. On the side, there was a screen with strange symbols. Nova placed her hand on it. The symbols changed to English. Subject number 9A. Status dormant genetic match. 100% primary function. Adaptive recon command lock. Active unauthorized clone status. Dictated. Nova blinked. Unauthorized clone? Eli took a step back. "Does that mean you're the clone?" "I don't know," Nova shouted, suddenly overwhelmed. "I don't feel fake. I feel real." She held her chest, her voice breaking. "I laugh. I cry. I saved you." "What kind of clone does that?" Eli hesitated. She was right. Whatever she was, she had protected him, risked her life. She felt real in every way that mattered. He put a hand on her shoulder. "Then it doesn't matter." Nova looked up at him. "You still trust me?" He nodded. More than anything else in this crazy place. The moment was broken by a voice above them. "Unauthorized clone detected. Facility reset initiating. All anomalies will be neutralized." The pod lit up. The figure inside began to twitch. Her fingers moved. Eyes fluttered. Nova stepped back in shock. "She's waking up." Eli grabbed her arm. "We have to go." "But..." Nova stood frozen. "What if she's the real one? What if I'm not supposed to exist?" Suddenly, the pod hissed open. Mist flowed out, and the second Nova stepped out, calm, silent, perfect. Her eyes opened. They were brighter, sharper, cold dots. She looked directly at the first Nova. "You are the unstable copy," she said. Her voice was flatter, robotic. Nova took a step back. "I'm not unstable. I'm alive." "You were not meant to awaken," the clone said. "Your purpose was observation, nothing more." Eli moved in front of Nova. "You're not touching her." The clone tilted her head. "You are the reason she changed. Your presence activated her growth. That makes you a target." A flash of light burst from her hands, a shockwave. Eli was thrown back. He hit the wall hard, gasping for breath. Nova screamed, running to him. "Eli!" But before she could reach him, the clone raised her hand again. Nova stopped. Her eyes narrowed. And then they glowed brighter than ever before. "You think I'm weak," Nova whispered. "But you were made to follow orders. I was made too. Choose." She raised her own hands. Light clashed with light. The room exploded in brightness. Metal panels flew. Wires snapped. The ground shook. Eli covered his face, crawling to safety as the two Novas battled in a storm of power. The clone was fast, efficient, but Nova was different. Her energy moved with emotion, rage, fear, protection. Suddenly, the clone flickered like a glitch in a screen. Nova noticed. "You're just code," she said. "I'm something more." She pushed harder, and the clone screamed. Her body cracked like glass. And then she vanished, a burst of data and light. Gone. Silence filled the chamber. Nova stood shaking, her skin dimmed, her breathing heavy. Eli limped toward her. "Are you okay?" She nodded weakly. "I didn't want to kill her, but she wasn't alive like me. She was a copy of a copy." They sat down, breathing hard. Above them, alarms continued. Core integrity compromised. Self-destruct in 10 minutes. Eli sighed. "Of course, the whole place is gonna blow up." Nova looked at the remaining screens. "We need to find a way out." Together, they searched the walls. Behind a control panel, Eli found a hatch marked Maintenance Exit, Authorized Only. "It's locked," he said. Nova stepped forward. "Let me try." She placed her palm on the panel. Nothing happened. She frowned. "I think I need you, me. You triggered my awakening. Your presence matters." Eli placed his hand next to hers. Click. The hatch opened. They crawled through a narrow tunnel filled with steam and flickering lights. They didn't speak, they just moved fast and scared. Finally, they reached a ladder. Climbing it led them to the surface. They pushed open a hatch and stepped outside into the cold air of Targan 7. The sky above was purple now. Stars blinked in the distance. Behind them, the motel began to collapse. A silent, glowing explosion tore through the ground. The building sank into the earth like it never existed. They stood quietly, side by side, watching the last of it disappear. Nova turned to him. "It's all gone. The clone, the lab, the truth." Eli shook his head. "Not all of it. We're still here." She looked at him. "But we don't know who made us or why." He smiled. "Then let's find out. Together." She took his hand. And together, they walked into the alien sunrise. The stars stretched endlessly above them. Eli and Nova stood at the edge of a desert cliff, staring at the ruins of the motel behind them. The smoke had faded, but the memory of what happened still burned in their minds. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Nova whispered, "I don't feel her anymore." "You mean the clone?" Eli asked, watching her closely. Nova nodded. "When she vanished, it was like a part of my mind became quiet. I used to feel like something was always watching me. Now it's gone. That's a good thing, right?" Eli asked. Nova wasn't sure. "Maybe, but now I also feel empty." Eli put a hand on her shoulder. "You're not empty. You're free." She looked up at him, her eyes soft but distant. "Free to do what?" He didn't answer. Because honestly, he didn't know. They had escaped death, survived a collapsing lab, fought a living weapon. But now what? They had no map, no plan. Just each other. And the stars. They walked for hours. Targon 7's desert was silent and strange. The ground sparkled like crushed glass. Floating rocks drifted in the air like balloons, unaffected by gravity. Eli had never seen anything like it. This moon is alive, Nova said quietly. Not. Just the ground, the air. It's like the planet itself is watching. You feel that too? Eli asked. She nodded. It's faint, but real. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air. A vibration in their bones. A massive structure appeared on the horizon, half buried in the sand, black, metallic. Ancient. It wasn't human. They approached it carefully. As they got closer, strange symbols began to glow on its walls. The shape of the building was like a half-open flower, wide and rising into the sky. This isn't from Earth, Eli said. Nova placed her hand on the glowing surface. I think this is what I was originally sent to find. He looked at her in shock. You remember it? Not exactly. It's like a whisper in my head, a feeling pulling me here, like it's been waiting. The door opened with a low hiss. A staircase spiraled down into darkness. They looked at each other, then went inside. The stairs led to a wide chamber, deep underground. Walls of smooth stone pulsed with light. The floor was made of glass-like panels, showing moving stars beneath them, like walking on a window above space itself. In the center of the chamber was a platform surrounded by floating crystals, each one spinning slowly. Nova stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly. This place is a memory bank. Eli raised an eyebrow. Like a computer? No, she whispered. Like a living archive. She touched one of the crystals. A beam of light shot out, projecting a massive blue figure into the air. Hologram, but not human. It was tall, with long arms and glowing skin like liquid silver. Its face was smooth and featureless, yet somehow peaceful. Then, it spoke. Its voice was not in words, but somehow Eli and Nova understood. If you are hearing this, then Subject 9 has survived activation, and the human host is bonded successfully. Eli blinked. Host bonded? Nova's body tensed. Keep listening. The figure continued. You were not born, you were made. Grown in the hidden chambers of the Asterix Protocol, a failed experiment. Until now. Eli stepped back. What are they talking about? Nova's face went pale. The voice continued. The human Carter was chosen, long ago, marked genetically. He would serve as the emotional anchor for Subject 9. Love, fear, trust. These would unlock her true potential. Nova whispered. That's why I woke up when I met you. It wasn't random. Eli could barely breathe. I was part of this? Since the beginning? The figure's final message played. Now that bonding is complete, the real test begins. The enemy will come, the one that erased our kind. And she, your Nova, was made to stop it. You must guide her. She will save your world. Or destroy it. The image vanished. Silence filled the chamber. Eli sat on the ground, his head in his hands. My whole life. I thought I was just a guy with a van and bad luck. Nova sat beside him. And I thought I was just someone's leftover science project, but we're more than that. We found each other. He looked at her. Do you believe what it said about us being bonded? She took his hand gently. I don't know what they planned, but what I feel now, that's not programming. He smiled faintly. Me either. They sat in silence for a while, watching the stars drift beneath the floor. Then a sound broke the peace. Boom. The ground shook. Outside, a shadow fell across the desert. They rushed up the stairs and back into the light. Above them, a ship, black and massive, was landing. But not just any ship. It had the same symbol that was burned into Nova's arm when she first arrived. Phase to Debulu. Nova's face turned hard. They found us. Eli grabbed her hand. We're not running this time. A hatch opened on the ship's side. From it stepped a figure tall, human-looking, dressed in white armor with glowing red eyes. It spoke in a flat voice. Subject 9. Surrender. Return for completion. Eli stepped forward. She's not going anywhere. The figure raised a strange-looking weapon. Incorrect. The bonding was not approved. Her power must be extracted. Nova stepped beside Eli. Her hand started to glow. You want my power? She said. Her eyes turned brilliant blue. Then come and take it. Asterisk. The sky above Targon 7 burned gold as the enemy ship hovered like a storm cloud, casting a wide shadow over the glowing desert. The sand shook beneath Nova's feet, but she stood still, hands glowing, heart racing. The armored figure stood across from her, silent, waiting. Behind Nova, Eli gripped a metal rod he had picked up from the ancient structure. He knew it wouldn't do much, but he wasn't going to let her face this alone. The figure finally spoke. Subject 9, your bond is corrupt. Your presence destabilizes the sequence. Return or be dismantled. Nova narrowed her eyes. You call it corruption. I call it choice. You are not allowed to choose. The figure said. And then it attacked. The figure shot forward like lightning, faster than anything Eli had ever seen. 1 second, it was 10 meters away. The next, it was right in front of Nova, blade drawn from its forearm, aiming for her chest. But Nova didn't flinch. Her body reacted before her mind did. A wave of energy pulsed from her, forming a barrier of glowing blue light. The blade struck but bounced off, sending the enemy flying back. Eli's jaw dropped. How did you? I didn't think, Nova whispered. I felt. The armored figure landed hard, but rose instantly. Defensive protocols exceeded expectations. Engaging suppressive fire. It raised both arms, firing twin beams of red plasma. Nova spun, deflecting one beam with a glowing shield from her palm. The second grazed her shoulder. She screamed, pain shooting through her body. Eli ran to her. You okay? She nodded, clutching her shoulder. It burns, but I can still fight. The enemy charged again. This time, Nova dodged left, then right, faster than human speed. She leapt into the air and slammed her fist into the ground. Boom! The desert floor cracked, sending a wave of dust and energy toward the enemy. It stumbled, but didn't fall. Nova turned to Eli. I need more power. I feel like I'm holding back. Eli looked confused. Then stop holding back. No, I mean something inside me is locked. What do I do? Nova stared at him, and in that moment, her voice softened. Trust me, completely. Open your mind. Eli hesitated, but nodded. He stepped forward and took both of her hands. Her eyes glowed brighter. Their minds connected. Suddenly, Eli wasn't in the desert anymore. He was floating inside a memory, or maybe inside Nova's core. A space of light and stars. He saw fragments of her past, the clone, the pod, the war, the faces of alien scientists, the screaming of forgotten civilizations. And then he saw himself, not as he was now, but younger. On Earth, in a lab. Wires in his skin. Memories he didn't know he had. Eli? Nova's voice echoed in the space. He turned. She stood there too, her form glowing. This is the key, she said. You were always part of me. They chose you because your mind is different, stable, human, but also open. You ground me. Why don't I remember any of this? Because they buried it, deep, but now it's back, and together. She reached for him. Their hands touched. Back in the real world, a shockwave burst from them. Nova's entire body was now surrounded by a halo of white-blue energy. Her wounds healed instantly. Her feet lifted from the ground. The armored attacker froze. Sequence breach detected, it said. Energy level exceeds design limits. Nova opened her eyes. They were no longer just glowing, they were stars. You tried to control me, she said, voice echoing unnaturally. But I'm not yours anymore. She raised both hands, and the ground split apart beneath the attacker. It fell into the hole, but before it could climb back out, she raised her arm and slammed it down. A beam of pure light shot from the sky, crashing into the pit. Boom. The enemy vanished in a pulse of white fire. Silence returned. Eli fell to his knees. Exhausted. Nova landed beside him, helping him up. Are you okay? He looked at her, eyes wide. I just connected with a girl who controls space lasers. What do you think? She laughed softly. You're handling it well. He held her hand. That was inside you the whole time? Yes, but I couldn't reach it alone. They stood together, breathing in the cool desert air. Then the ground trembled again, but it wasn't an enemy this time. Door opened behind the ancient structure they had visited earlier. Hidden, silent, Nova's head turned sharply. There's more. Together. They walked inside. The hallway was quiet, glowing faintly. As they walked, messages lit up on the walls. Written in alien symbols, but slowly changing into English as they approached. Memory sector, final truths. Authorized bonded pair only. Eli looked at Nova. That's us, right? She nodded. At the end of the hall, a single room waited. Inside. A chair sat in the center. Above it an orb of glowing light. Nova stared at it. It's a memory core. She touched it. The orb pulsed and spoke. Subject 9, you were created not only to defend, but to decide. Images flashed through the air. Planets burning. Ships falling from the sky. A shadow huge, with tentacles and red eyes swallowing entire cities. Nova covered her mouth. That's the enemy. The voice continued. It is known only as the silence. It doesn't destroy planets. It erases them from history, memories, time, light, gone. Eli whispered, and you're supposed to stop that? The orb glowed brighter. Yes, but only if your bond holds. If your mind fractures, she becomes the weapon instead of the shield. Nova looked at Eli, fear in her eyes. You mean, if we lose each other, I could become what I was created to fight? The orb pulsed one last time. Prepare, it is coming. And then the light went out. They walked out of the chamber in silence. Nova's hand tightened around Eli's. I'm scared, she said. Of what's inside me, of what's coming. He stopped and looked at her. You're not alone anymore. We fight this together, every step. The sun above Targon 7 began to set, casting golden light across the alien sand. And far in the sky, a faint shadow appeared, like something vast. Watching. Waiting. Asterisk Targon -7 was no longer quiet. The sky had cracked open. Above the moon's horizon, stars blinked and vanished, one by one, as if something was eating the night itself. Eli stood beside Nova on a rocky hill. Wind howled around them, pulling at their clothes and hair. But they didn't move. They stared at the black shape in the sky, not a ship, not a planet. A wound, a hole in space. It pulsed with darkness. And from deep within, something ancient had begun to whisper. Eli covered his ears, but the sound was inside his mind. A cold voice, soft, empty, like 1,000 forgotten voices all speaking at once. Nova, she blinked, her breath catching in her throat. You know me? She whispered. We remember you. You are the unfinished thought, the broken design. You were made to fight us, but you do not know why. Eli grabbed her hand. Don't listen to it. But Nova didn't pull away. She stared at the sky, her heart pounding. Then tell me, what am I? The voice continued. You were made by those who feared us. You are not life. You are not soul. You are the last code before the dark, and now you must choose. The wind grew louder. The stars above began to swirl like a drain, pulled toward the blackness. Eli shouted over the noise, Nova, don't listen. It's trying to get in your head. Nova shook her head slowly. No, it's already inside. She fell to her knees, clutching her head. Her skin flickered blue to white, white to gray. Her body glitched like a broken image. Eli, she gasped. I can't hold it out. He dropped beside her, holding her close. Then let me help. She looked at him, eyes wide, glowing. The silence is inside me. It's looking through my memories. My emotions. If it finds the bond, it can break it. Then we won't let it, he said. I can't stop it with force, Nova whispered. Not this. It doesn't fear power. Then what does it fear? Eli asked. She looked at him, truly looked. You. The darkness in the sky twisted dot, and then it formed a face. Not flesh. Not bone. A moving shape of void, with eyes like black suns. The wind died. Time itself seemed to pause. The voice returned louder now, more human. Human Carter. We offer you peace. Step away from her. Leave her to us. And you may return to your small life, untouched. Ellie stood tired, dirty, bruised, but not afraid. He stared up at the sky. No. We can erase your pain. We can give you silence. No, Eli said again. I already had a quiet life. You know what it gave me? Nothing. He turned to Nova. She was shaking now, barely holding herself together. But when I met her, he said, voice strong, I finally felt something worth protecting. He helped her to her feet. I don't care if she's code or cloned or created in a lab. She chose to feel, to protect, to love. That makes her more human than you'll ever be. Nova's glow returned slowly, then brighter. Eli, she said, tears in her glowing eyes, you reminded me who I am. And then, she began to change. Her body lifted off the ground. Energy poured out from her skin like sunlight, breaking through water. Wings, not real, but made of light, unfolded from her back. Her hair floated around her like a silver halo. She no longer looked like a girl made in a lab. She looked like a star given form. But still, she held Eli's hand. Together, they looked up at the sky. Nova spoke, her voice louder than thunder, but still full of heart. You called me a broken design. But you forgot something. She lifted her hand. A small light floated from her palm. It pulsed like a heartbeat. I was made with love. That's something you'll never understand. The silence screamed. The sky itself tore open, black tendrils crashing down toward them. Eli and Nova held their ground. The final battle wasn't with fists or weapons. It was with will. With memory. With connection. Nova focused on every moment. They had shared her laughter when she first learned sarcasm. The way Eli stayed beside her even when she glitched. The quiet nights. The fear. The comfort. All of it became light. Pure. Burning. Living light. Eli felt his body rising, too drawn into the energy. The bond between them burned brighter than the stars. And then Nova opened her eyes and released it. The sky exploded. Not with fire, but with clarity. The tendrils shattered into dust. The blackness screamed as light flooded every crack in the void. Stars returned. One by one. The silence tried to pull away, but it was too late. The bond had reached it. Not with hate, but with understanding. With something it had no weapon for. Hope. And then, it was gone. The sky was whole again. The stars shined bright above. Targon-7. Eli landed first, gasping for air. Then Nova, her glow slowly fading, her body returning to its human form. She looked at her hands, no longer shaking. She had won, but not alone. They sat together on the edge of a cliff, watching the sky turn blue. Nova leaned her head on Eli's shoulder. I heard them all, she whispered. The other subjects. Before me, they weren't as lucky. Eli held her close. They didn't have you, and you didn't have me. She smiled, and for the first time since she arrived in his life, she looked truly free. Days passed. The system began to repair itself. Targon-7's surface quieted. The ancient structure sank into sleep again. Nova and Eli built a small shelter near the cliff. They didn't plan much. They didn't need to. They had time. They had each other. Sometimes Nova would stare at the stars, wondering if the silence was truly gone. Sometimes Ela would catch her hand trembling, but he'd hold it tighter, and she'd smile again. Not because everything was perfect, but because they had survived, and they had chosen each other. Epilogue. Transmission received far away. On a quiet space station orbiting a blue gas giant. A screen lit up. Message received. Subject 9. Status: alive. Bond: active. Threat: resisted. A woman in a black coat stared at the data. She smiled and whispered, "So, the experiment worked." Behind her, rows of pods glowed, numbered 10 through 99.